about an implementation that actually one of the first implementations that Attune did for a large sportswear brand operating globally but based in Europe. So this customer, with a view to increasing their speed to market and an exponential growth that they expected in their DTC segment, they embarked on a review of their processes and systems to support this. As an outcome, they decided to go ahead with an S4 implementation with the initial rollout covering, the direct-to-consumer market in Europe with about 95 stores and e-com, along with a bunch of marketplaces spread across 26 countries. Right, so it's a pretty big implementation that they were undertaking, and we were, proud to be part of that exercise with the customer. Now, from a system scope perspective, what did we do here is, obviously there's S4HANA with fashion. And then we had SAP Car for the, POS, DTA, and the functionality. Plus, they had also an, BW, it's a BW for HANA system available for their analytics. And we used the Fiori apps for the store back office operations, right? So this was the from a system perspective, the scope of the implementation. Obviously, we used our Attune Fashion Suite to be the foundation for this implementation. So that's the overview of what this implementation was about. Moving on to looking at, the customer obviously did, some exercise of understanding, what they needed to do to reach this, aggressive growth strategy that they had in mind. And so some of the big use cases that, that came up or some of the problem statements that came up from the customer is what we'll go through next. So the first one, and the important one, at least, it turned out to be a burning platform for this need, was that their target model for their retail operations required a very complex legal structure. And this complex legal structure is needed to be supported by also a complex network of goods movements to support the structure, right, from a statutory and tax purpose. Obviously, the legacy ERP was not capable of handling this sort of a complexity. And in that sense, this became a burning platform. So if they had to move to this new business model in a certain time frame, then the platform had to be changed. And that was one of the foundational business cases that was made to proceed with the implementation. The standard functionality within S4 lent itself very well to actually set up this complex structure across the 26 countries without too much of Adobe. We were able to do this pretty much with out of the box capability. But in order to support the underlying goods movement required, right, within this legal setup, in order to be able to support their target operating model requirements, we came up with an innovative approach to perform the necessary goods movements, right, and what we call a flash transfer process seamlessly in the background in an automated fashion, and that actually made this entire implementation of this model very much simple. So all of this happens in an automated fashion behind the scenes, and at the same time, provides visibility to the user, right? So this was a big, this automation and this enhancement that we came up with was a big, plus to get this implementation done, and at the same time provide the transparency required, both from a statutory perspective and from a user managing their day-to-day operations. Now, we did, like we talked about the scope, there's about 26 countries involved in this, and we also required a seamless tax reporting, right, for all these 26 countries. And some of the requirements can be very complex in Europe. So The S4 functionality lens it's pretty smooth and provides the necessary data required for the statutory reporting. So we did not hit too many roadblocks there. And even with the given volume of entities, and the countries involved, we were able to complete this implementation within a period of a year.